The following video is intended for mature audiences. It contains horror elements, adult themes, and language that might not be suitable for younger viewers. Butcher Boys is not a film for the faint-hearted. Directed by Dwayne Graves and Justin Meeks, and written by Kim Henkel, co-writer of the original The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this film is a frenetic, horrifying, and unrelenting experience. It feels like the unholy love child of The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Wrong Turn, and The Lost Boys, blending visceral gore with an unsettling yet seductive energy. For fans of intense, boundary-pushing horror, Butcher Boys delivers a nightmarish roller coaster ride into chaos and carnage. As someone who's loved vampires and dangerous, charismatic villains since my teenage years, Butcher Boys struck a visceral chord. The film doesn't feature traditional bloodsuckers, but its antagonists embody the predatory allure and feral energy often associated with the Fanged Ones. It's a horror experience that's both exhilarating and deeply disturbing, earning its place among the most memorable cult horror films of the decade. The plot of Butcher Boys begins innocently enough, with a group of young friends celebrating a birthday. But after an altercation with a mysterious gang at a diner, their night spirals into a nightmare. The group finds themselves hunted through the dark streets of a decrepit city by a sadistic clan of cannibalistic psychopaths. What sets this film apart from similar survival horror fare is the sheer unpredictability of its story. Each scene unfolds like a fever dream, with twists and grotesque surprises that keep viewers on edge. The pacing is relentless, propelling the characters and the audience through an escalating series of horrors that culminate in a nightmarish descent into a world of depravity. Comparisons to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre are inevitable, given Henkel's involvement in the film's Texas setting. Like its predecessor, Butcher Boys explores themes of societal decay, familial dysfunction, and humanity's capacity for monstrous behavior. However, it also has a more modern, urban sensibility, drawing on the nihilism and chaotic energy of films like Wrong Turn and The Devil's Rejects. The gang of Butcher Boys at the heart of the film evokes the predatory charisma of the Lost Boys. They are brutal and animalistic, yet strangely magnetic. Their leader exudes a dangerous charm that's as captivating as it is terrifying, embodying the archetype of the hot villain that horror fans, myself included, often find irresistible. What makes the Butcher Boys so unnerving isn't just their penchant for violence or their cannibalistic tendencies, it's their animalistic instincts. One of the most unsettling aspects of the film is the way they sniff out their victims, literally catching their scent like predators hunting prey. This behavior is both primal and profoundly disturbing, reducing their victims to mere quarry in a sadistic game. Yet, for all their monstrousness, the Butcher Boys possess a twisted humanity. Their interactions suggest a dark brotherhood, bound by shared bloodlust and an unspoken code. This dynamic adds depth to their characters, making them more than just faceless killers. They are predators, yes, but they are also a reflection of humanity's darkest impulses, amplified to horrifying extremes. Beneath its gore-soaked exterior, Butcher Boys is a scathing commentary on decadence and privilege. The Butcher Boys' actions are not born of necessity, but of indulgence. They kill and consume because they can, embodying the excesses of a society that has lost its moral compass. This theme is most evident in the film's climactic scenes, where the true extent of their depravity is revealed in a setting that feels both surreal and disturbingly plausible. The film also explores the thin line between predator and prey, forcing its characters and its audience to confront uncomfortable questions about morality, survival, and the human capacity for violence. In its darkest moments, Butcher Boys blurs the line between victim and monster, leaving viewers to ponder whether humanity itself is the greatest horror of all. Graves and Meeks craft an atmosphere of unrelenting tension, using the urban setting to great effect. The dilapidated streets, shadowy alleyways, and abandoned buildings create a labyrinthine nightmare that feels alive with danger. The camera work is dynamic and immersive, pulling the audience into the action and making them complicit in the characters' terror. The film's visual style is raw and gritty, reflecting its low-budget origins. But rather than detract from the experience, this aesthetic enhances the film's visceral impact. The gore is graphic and unapologetic, but it's not gratuitous. It serves to underscore the stakes and the ferocity of the Butcher Boys world. Both Butcher Boys and the original, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, share a chilling DNA that marks them as spiritual siblings within the horror genre. With Kim Henkel, co-creator of Chainsaw, as the writer of Butcher Boys, the influence is palpable. However, while they tread similar thematic ground, urban decay, human depravity, and societal collapse, each film carves its own terrifying identity. At their core, both films explore what happens when humans abandon societal norms and descend into primal savagery. In Chainsaw, the Sawyer family represents a grotesque exaggeration of rural isolation and familial dysfunction, a decayed remnant of a once thriving meat industry. Butcher Boys, on the other hand, shifts its focus to an urban setting, presenting its villains as predators lurking in plain sight. The Butcher Boys, like the Sawyers, are cannibals, but their motivations feel less tethered to survival and more rooted in nihilistic indulgence. They reflect a modern kind of decadence, one born of privilege, entitlement, and a complete disregard for morality. Where the Sawyers seem like a family trapped in time, shaped by economic desperation, the Butcher Boys are a chilling representation of contemporary amorality. One of the most striking differences between the two films is their setting. Chainsaw unfolds in the barren, sun-bleached expanses of rural Texas, where isolation amplifies the characters' vulnerability. The Sawyer family's house is a grotesque labyrinth of bone-laden horrors, a shrine to their warped worldview. Butcher Boys, in contrast, thrives in the shadows of a decaying urban sprawl. The film's cityscape is a character in its own right, oppressive and alive with danger. The shift to an urban environment lends Butcher Boys a frenetic energy that sets it apart from the slow-burn dread of Chainsaw. The claustrophobic streets, decrepit warehouses, and dark alleyways create a sense of constant motion and escalating chaos, leaving the audience breathless. The antagonists in both films are unforgettable for their brutality and depravity, but their personas diverge in fascinating ways. The Sawyer family is defined by their grotesque eccentricity. They are simultaneously monstrous and pitiful, their actions shaped by desperation and madness. Leatherface, the franchise's iconic figure, is a blend of raw power and childlike terror, making him both a monster and a tragic figure. The titular gang in Butcher Boys represents a more stylized, charismatic breed of villainy. They are sleek, feral, and disturbingly alluring, evoking the dark magnetism of the Lost Boys. Their animalistic behavior, particularly their habit of sniffing out prey, heightens their predatory aura. Unlike the Sawyers, who seem bound to their crumbling house, the Butcher Boys dominate the city like apex predators, turning the urban landscape into their hunting ground. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a masterclass in building dread. Its pacing is deliberate, allowing the tension to simmer before boiling over into a crescendo of terror. The film's unrelenting final act leaves viewers shaken, with its chaotic climax underscored by the unhinged laughter of its villains and the piercing screams of its protagonist. Butcher Boys takes a more chaotic approach, plunging viewers into the action almost immediately and rarely letting up. Its pacing is frenetic, with each scene more outrageous than the last. This relentless energy creates a sense of unpredictability that mirrors the madness of its antagonists. While Chainsaw feels like a descent into a slow-burning nightmare, Butcher Boys is an adrenaline-fueled plunge into chaos. Both films are steeped in symbolism, using their horrors to reflect broader societal fears. In Chainsaw, the Sawyer family represents the collapse of traditional rural industries and the alienation of modernity. Their house is a grotesque museum of death, a visual metaphor for their detachment from humanity. In Butcher Boys, the gang embodies the excesses of urban decay and moral collapse. Their actions are less about survival and more about domination and consumption, reflecting a society obsessed with indulgence and instant gratification. Both films also explore the fragility of civilization, forcing their protagonists to confront the thin veneer separating humanity from savagery. In both stories, survival hinges on abandoning societal norms and embracing primal instincts, a chilling commentary on the human condition. One of the most enduring tropes in horror is the final girl, and both films feature protagonists who embody this archetype in distinct ways. Sally Hardesty in Chainsaw is the quintessential final girl, enduring unimaginable horrors and emerging scarred but alive. Her survival is a testament to sheer willpower and instinct, but her escape feels more like a Pyrrhic victory than a triumph. The heroine of Butcher Boys is equally compelling, but far more active in her resistance. While Sally spends much of Chainsaw fleeing, the protagonist in Butcher Boys fights back, transforming from victim to warrior throughout the film. Her journey is one of empowerment, though it is no less harrowing. The villains in Butcher Boys are more than just a gang of sadistic cannibals. They are a layered representation of primal instincts, moral decay, and the allure of danger. While their actions and characteristics may initially seem like mere horror tropes, a closer examination reveals a deeper, more symbolic role within the narrative. Let's delve into their archetypal connections, symbolic undertones, and the unique ways they contribute to the film's horrifying appeal. The Butcher Boys epitomize the archetype of the apex predator. Their ability to sniff out victims is a literalization of their dominance over their environment. The act of scenting prey serves as a chilling reminder of humanity's animalistic roots, stripping their victims of individuality and reducing them to nothing more than targets in a deadly hunt. Unlike traditional predators tied to the wilderness, the Butcher Boys are urban hunters, thriving in the labyrinth of a decaying city. Their domain is the industrial wasteland, a setting that mirrors their amorality and chaotic nature. The urban setting is key to their archetype. It symbolizes the degradation of civilization, a place where rules no longer apply, and primal instincts reign supreme. In this way, the Butcher Boys are not just villains, but embodiments of urban entropy. They are the consequence of a society that has allowed its moral and structural foundations to rot, emerging as a new dominant force in a world that has reverted to chaos. The Butcher Boys also tap into the archetype of the seductive villain, a trope often associated with vampires and other supernatural predators. Their dark charisma and unnervingly magnetic presence make them more than mindless monsters. Their leader, in particular, exudes a dangerous charm reminiscent of the Lost Boys or even Interview with the Vampire. His confidence and predatory aura draw comparisons to vampire figures who thrive on manipulation, dominance, and psychological terror. The Butcher Boys weaponize their allure to unnerve their victims, their confidence serving as a reminder of their untouchable status within their domain. This archetype is particularly unsettling because it challenges the audience's perception of evil. By making the villains attractive and charismatic, Butcher Boys forces viewers to confront their discomfort with being drawn to such characters. The appeal of the Butcher Boys lies in their sheer audacity, a quality that makes their acts of violence all the more horrifying. Cannibalism is one of humanity's most primal taboos, representing the ultimate act of domination and dehumanization. In Butcher Boys, it serves as both a literal and symbolic expression of power. By consuming their victims, the Butcher Boys assert complete control over them, reducing them to sustenance. This act erases any notion of individuality, transforming humans into resources. On a deeper level, the Butcher Boys' cannibalism can be seen as a critique of modern excess and consumption. Their actions reflect a society obsessed with indulgence, where even the most sacred boundaries are violated in the pursuit of gratification. Cannibalism also ties the Butcher Boys to the archetype of the Wendigo, a figure from indigenous folklore that embodies insatiable greed and the loss of humanity through acts of consumption. Like the Wendigo, the Butcher Boys are creatures of endless hunger, their appetites driving them to commit unspeakable acts. While the Butcher Boys are distinctly their own creation, their connection to the Sawyer family from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is unmistakable. However, where the Sawyers are relics of rural isolation and economic decay, the Butcher Boys represent a more modern form of depravity. The Sawyers are bound to their decrepit farmhouse, their atrocities hidden in the shadows of rural Texas. In contrast, the Butcher Boys thrive in a public, urban setting, hunting openly and brazenly. This shift reflects a world where horror is no longer confined to the fringes, but has infiltrated the heart of civilization. The Butcher Boys also lack the familial bonds that define the Sawyers, functioning more as a tightly knit pack. Their dynamic is less about tradition and more about raw survival, suggesting a more primal, less structured form of evil. The Butcher Boys are agents of chaos, their actions governed by whims rather than logic. This unpredictability is one of their most terrifying traits, making them impossible to anticipate or outwit. Chaos as an archetype is inherently unsettling because it defies the human need for order and reason. The Butcher Boys' randomness suggests that their victims are not chosen based on any rational criteria. Anyone can become their prey, making their violence feel even more senseless and terrifying. Their chaotic nature also aligns them with villains like Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight, whose actions are driven by a desire to disrupt and destroy for the sake of it. In Butcher Boys, this chaos is amplified by the visceral, physical nature of their violence. At their core, the Butcher Boys are a reflection of humanity's darkest impulses. They represent what happens when societal norms break down and primal instincts take over. In this sense, they serve as a chilling reminder of the thin line separating civilization from savagery. Their actions force viewers to confront uncomfortable questions about morality, survival, and the human capacity for evil. Are they monsters, or are they simply humans stripped of their societal constraints? The film offers no easy answers, leaving the audience to grapple with the implications. What truly sets Butcher Boys apart is its ability to balance sheer terror with an almost frenetic sense of fun. The film is wild and unpredictable, keeping viewers guessing until the very end. Its villains are as charismatic as they are horrifying, and its story is as thrilling as it is disturbing. For fans of intense, adrenaline-fueled horror, Butcher Boys is a must-watch. It's a film that doesn't just push boundaries, it obliterates them, delivering a horror experience that's as unforgettable as it is unnerving. In the realm of independent filmmaking, Butcher Boys stands as an example of the power of horror, offering a visceral journey into humanity's darkest corners. This film isn't just a standard survival horror, but a thought-provoking exploration of modern excess and moral decay, combining the primal fears of being hunted and dominated with contemporary relevance. Its villains, characterized by their animalistic instincts, magnetic charisma, and chaotic violence, leave an indelible impression on viewers brave enough to embark on this nerve-shredding journey. Sharing a thematic core with its kindred spirit, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Butcher Boys diverges in tone and style. It's more than just a breakneck sprint through nightmares. It's an unrestrained exploration of modern depravity that combines visceral terror with social commentary. For those who relish hot villains and insane horrors, it is an essential experience that I cannot recommend highly enough. Butcher Boys is an action, comedy, horror thriller that is 1 hour and 26 minutes long and is rated R. The Southern Underworld gives it 5 bloody knives. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you for watching.